And now for something completely different.
Forget everything you've been told by others before. Get ready for the real deal, the full story. Real talk about money, markets, life. Now, it's The Real Investment Show, presented by RIA Advisors.
And good morning. Welcome to Financial Fitness Friday. I'm Rich Rosso, CFP. And we're here with a very, very special guest. Sir, do you want to introduce yourself to the audience?
Absolutely. My name is Parker McGill. I go to the University of Tennessee. I'm from the Woodlands, Texas.
From Woodlands.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Parker's with us this morning. Tennessee, one of my very favorite states, as I always lament to Brent. When am I going to move to Tennessee? So, just not a quick coast to the weekend. We've got multiple narratives. The Musk-Trump blow-up. According to Polymarket, will Trump apologize to Elon by Monday? There's a 3% chance of that. Will Elon Musk unfollow Donald Trump? 23% chance. So you could just about bet on anything at Polymarket. So also at Polymarket, the odds of a recession reached 66% on May 1st, now down to 27%. So we've got, obviously, big report today. May jobs reports coming out. So low expectations for this report, a gain of 125,000, down from the initial tally of 177,000. So we'll see what kind of report we get based on ADP. Those two don't really align very often, especially after COVID. But obviously, everyone is going to be keying in on this number. But it's just funny how narratives really do affect the market always day to day. And we always say this, but the whole Musk-Trump feud really rattled markets and Tesla. Tesla's up about 5% pre-market. So you just got to stop and play nice. Stop and play nice. You know, remember when we used to have beefs with people and we did it privately? Do you all remember those wonderful days, Brent, when we didn't have to worry? Like, oh, I got to put everything on social media. I got to air all my dirty laundry. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We'd leave nasty notes in their locker.
Nasty notes on in the locker, right? You threw a spitball. We had some real weapons we created out of paper.
Bic pens.
Bic pens. Oh, like a poison dart thing.
Wow. Yes.
Pigtails in the inkwell.
I don't go that far
You
back.
don't go back. I know you don't. It's just amazing how you think about what all that can affect the market from day to day and all the noise that's out there that can really interfere with your investment strategy if you just go by, you're just going to go with the wind and not have a strategy and not have rules and take your emotions out of it. You really can get caught in some form of negative return spiral if you don't watch yourself, right? So a lot of people who invest, say, in Tesla or other stocks that are very much in the news, even NVIDIA to some degree, I see that they get really engrossed in the day-to-day. And Lance has a great chart out today that there are always big, scary headlines and events, but the market absorbs the data. So when you look at all the tariff vacillation, right, we're going to have a deal, we're not going to have a deal, we had a conversation. The markets are like, yeah, been there, done that. We're already done with that, right? That news has been priced in. What you don't have now is a catalyst. What is the catalyst to move the market out of a trading channel? Yes, deals being closed, that would be great. The tax deal being done, although I'm not very confident in that, as it will go through the Senate. So we need a catalyst. We'll have earnings season a few weeks, but we need a catalyst to move things. But when you look at current narratives, right, the American exceptionalism is dead. European exceptionalism is where it's at. That makes me laugh. Not to insult any of you from that part of the world, but let me just explain this to you. They're crying over there like little girls in a corner because they can't raise enough money. They don't want to build their defense out. We got to defend ourselves? Oh, no. Oh, no. So there are a lot of books out there that'll show you most of the innovation in tech and AI from the private sector comes out of defense spending. There's a great book out there called Code Wars that outlines this. Right? Without the innovation that comes from defense spending, believe it or not, you don't get that type of success in the private sector in tech. So when you look at AI and development of technology, the EU is way behind even Japan. So where they're going to become this behemoth of growth and innovation when they're arresting you for memes doesn't make really a lot of sense. But it's a narrative. So if you trade narratives that international stocks are undervalued and that's the place to be, understand it's a trade. Nothing is going to replace the dollar. The euro, they all can't get along. Can you imagine they have one unified currency and they fight like they have everything is disaligned. Is that a word? Did I create a word? Okay. It's malaligned, but I will use disaligned because I'm feeling dissed this morning. See, look at that. We just created a new word on the show. Disaligned. I don't know. It sounds better than malaligned to me.
It sounds more negative.
It does. Well,
Yeah.
I'm straight.
Yeah.
That's my blood type.
Yeah.
B negative. So I'm totally there for that. So you got to keep in mind that you can trade the narratives, but don't confuse it. It's just like when you were dating. Remember when you were dating and you said, oh, gosh, is this the person I'm going to marry? No, don't confuse that. This isn't the person I'm marrying. This is the person I'm dating for now, right? You got to put things in boxes. So if I'm going to trade a narrative, I'm going to trade it. So what Lance has is a chart. Happy 129th birthday, Papa Dow, right? May 26th, 1896. So it has a chart of the Dow Jones with all these major geopolitical events since 1900, and it shows you how markets always go higher. Now, again, what I don't like about this chart is that unless I'm a vampire, stocks for the long term, I might be in that period of time where stocks do nothing, right? My retirement's 20, 30 years. So when you see those charts, I'm sure you have seen many of those charts, sir. Mm-hmm. About how stocks always go up. But the only people that I think participate in that 100-year move are usually vampires. They live long enough for that. But if I'm going to be in retirement for 20 years, 25 years, what if I retire in an overvalued market and I'm going into a flat market? What if I do have major headwinds to what I'm going to do on a retirement withdrawal rate? I have to monitor that. So where you retire in a market cycle is luck. That's pretty much what it is. So, and if based on our estimates over the next 10 years, returns on stocks are going to be a bit more frustrating. When we get back, we're going to talk about 65 is the new 70 or 70 is the new 65. But either way, if you're older, you're really younger when we get back.
Get daily investment news you can use, delivered at the speed of the internet at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Declare your financial independence from the mainstream financial media and join us for the next RIA Candid Coffee with Danny Ratliff and Lance Roberts, Saturday, June 28th. Know the enemies of your wealth and fight them on your terms. We'll arm you with the information you need. Register today for the Financial Independence Edition of Candid Coffee, Saturday, June 28th. With Ratliff and Roberts at realinvestmentadvice.com. Realinvestmentadvice.com.
Attention Chevron employees and anyone else receiving or considering a company severance package. We know the process can be intimidating. What should you know to maximize your payout? Lump sum or pension annuity, retirement plan rollover or not? What about tax timing your severance? The fiduciary advisors at RIA Advisors can help you make the best decisions for your situation. Call us today at 855-742-7526. That's 855-742-PLAN. Or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
The Real Investment Show.
RIA Advisors Research is the envy of the industry. Our economic insights are featured on advisorperspectives.com, Fox Business, and MarketWatch. RIA provides advisors with marketing and back office support, objective research, and holistic, cutting-edge financial planning tools to meet your clients' needs. Want to join a winning team and be part of a fiduciary culture where you can do your best work? Then why haven't you contacted us yet? Go to our confidential advisor hub at realinvestmentadvice.com. RIA Advisors. Big enough where it matters, agile enough when it counts.
And now, another page from the Real Investment Advisors Investing Manifesto. Manage risk and volatility rather than trying to manage gains. You don't have to be right all the time. Long-term investing success is a 70% gain. Let us help you reach your financial goals with RIA Advisors. Neither bull nor bear. RIA Advisors. 281-501-1791 or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
You're listening to The Real Investment Show.
And we're back. It's Rich Rosso and the man Parker, University of Tennessee. How is fall in Tennessee?
Absolutely perfect. The trees are turned colors and it's awesome. Weather's great.
Just a beautiful place. So may I suggest to Mr. Musk and Mr. Trump something called the shoutlet? It's like a stress ball, but you yell into it instead of squeezing it. It's an instant mood lifter because you know when you want to just scream? Like, what's the dude? We're not going to take it anymore. Right? Scream therapy is in. Primal scream therapy. We know which side of the aisle really likes that. They seem to scream a lot. But there's a pillow for that now. You see, Parker, there's all this innovation. You went to school to learn all this stuff, and some dude's making millions of dollars on a shoutlet, which is really just a cushion pillow with a funny little cover on it, and you scream into it. You know what? I can use those with my calls with Lance usually because I am screaming inside. I'm terrorized inside. So
Is that what the My Pillow guy wound up doing?
you know what? That would have been. He didn't come up with the shoutlet.
Oh, man.
Do you think he comes up with my shoutlet?
There you go.
So this is idea of catharsis, rage rooms, letting off steam. But now you got the pillow, and on the cover it says from chaos to calm. You also need that for dealing with our chat. So the shoutlet comes in 6 different colors, and it's just great for letting out stress. So now I know, Parker, you know what everybody's getting for Christmas.
Absolutely.
The shoutlet.
Kind of want one now.
How many classes did you go through where you went, I need this shoutlet really bad? But this just shows the ingenuity of America. Besides having a McDonald's on every corner now, you also can have the shoutlet. So someone says, I'm quite skeptical about the benefits, especially in the long term. Can't hurt, right? Can't hurt. It would make things a lot quieter. So why can't you just use the pillow off your bed to scream into? You mean you take the shoutlet with you?
You could.
And you could use it as a pillow on the airplane as well. They don't talk about that.
Keep it in the back seat of your car.
I always wanted to create a business, so Parker's going to help me, where you go and you have, it's called the pillow fight room. And all you do is you pay for a pillow and you beat the hell out of everybody else that's there. It's one big pillow fight. Don't get nasty, Brent. Everybody's dressed. But this, but just to let out the aggression. So we used to have, you probably remember these. Remember those little blow up things of all your characters like Bozo, and you would hit it, you'd blow it up, and then it would pop right back up at you?
Yep.
Those were great. They had one on the Three Stooges, and Curly hit it, and it came back and knocked him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Very therapeutic.
it was we had those kinds of things. We just didn't have the shoutlet. But after the jobs report, you might need a shoutlet today. Especially if you see what well, first of all, let's talk about futures, because maybe you won't be shouting so much. Futures actually look pretty decent. They're firming up this morning. We got let's see here. Pre-market looked really pretty good today. Again, I think that some of the bad news was priced in yesterday, especially with the whole feud. But Dow futures 97, S&P futures up 20, NASDAQ futures up 76. So I was actually amazed yesterday, as much as narratives rarely surprise me, that we really took this into the market between Trump and Musk. I thought that was sort of dumb, actually. So, I mean, those kinds of things affecting markets based on tweets. I understand if it's tweets about policy and other things, but just because Godzilla and King Kong are fighting it out doesn't mean that you've just derailed my portfolio for the day. But that's just the world we're in right now. So again, we were expecting these non-farm payrolls, 130,000 expected, 177,000 was previously. Unemployment rate, 4.2 expected, 4.2%. We'll see what average hourly earnings month over month are going to look like. May is 0.3 expected, 0.2 previously. So we'll see where average hourly earnings are going to be. So when there's all this talk about Social Security, and is it going to be around? And we always talk about the fact that it is, because it has to be. Because for most retirees, that is their pension. So Parker, I know what I was impressed with a lot of colleges today, when you learn your financial planning curriculum, they spend time on Social Security, don't they?
They do.
And Medicare. And I call those the financial dust bunnies. A lot of advisors today don't like talking about those topics. You all are a new breed, an impressive breed, that pull out those dust bunnies and talk about them. Those kinds of benefits that you learn about are indispensable when you work with anybody. I don't care if they're 40 or 60. And that's not what we were taught. Even with financial planning, when I went for my CFP, when I got it in 98, it wasn't a topic. Mm-hmm. We had to learn that on our own. So the fact that you're all doing that in an aging population and not fearing it and running from it, I think is really important.
Absolutely.
Did you learn anything that stuck with you about, say, what you learned about Social Security? Anything that you thought, hey, this is good, but I don't know about this. Anything that you thought about?
Yeah, so I will say I'm a finance major at Tennessee.
Uh-huh.
And I'm in the Financial Planning Association. And
Got
so Tennessee doesn't have a financial planning major just yet.
Oh, that's right. You have the finance major, though, right?
Right, absolutely. And so right now, actually, in our association, we're trying to get financial planning to be a major at the University of Tennessee.
Yeah, that would
in the coming years, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, in at least in my finance major right now, I'm learning a lot about portfolio management more, financial statement analysis. And I would just say, like, the best topic I've really grasped has been like just diversification, really, and learning how to use it properly, I guess.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I hate to, I don't want to burst Parker's bubble, right? That most portfolio managers use the magic 8 ball to pick stocks. Right?
Apparently.
Well, he did the monkey challenge. They did when the monkey's throwing the darts.
Yeah.
The monkey was a better portfolio manager than the portfolio manager. And if the Planet of the Apes goes the way I think, chimps will probably be running portfolios in the next 20 years. Parker goes, oh, well, I hope not for my sake. Yeah. He's going to be right under the underlords, the chimps. Well, I think it's the chimps and the orangutans. Those were the smart ones. The gorillas were always the damn warmongers, right?
Maybe you should minor in zoology.
Yep.
Maybe I should. Yeah. There.
And keep a lot of bananas handy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that racist?
That's very appealing.
Okay. So listen, we talk about how to protect Social Security. We think about ways to do it. And we don't have to do much. We just don't do anything. Sort of like Larry Smith. All we do, Larry Smith's on our chat, so we like to harass him once in a while. Maybe he's not today because Ed took him out. Did Ed Gein take him out? Ed, I will tell you that those Candid coffee mugs do handle a lot of blood. I've cut myself a couple of times and thankfully had the Candid coffee mug there. So, raising the retirement age. Say you're born in 1986 or later. Going to 68 years old. Raising the payroll tax cap. There are tweaks in the system, especially if we go through the fact, or in this new bill, tax bill, to not tax Social Security, which would be very helpful for middle Americans that get stuck in what we call the tax torpedo. 50 to 85 cents on every dollar of Social Security is taxed, depending upon where they compare in these ranges of incomes. So Denmark went ahead, and their new retirement age is 70 years old. So can Washington learn a little bit about Social Security reform from Denmark? Do they have good Danishes in Denmark? I don't know. Now I'm thinking about Danishes. I haven't had a good Danish. I haven't had a good cheese Danish, Brent.
You didn't take your meds this morning,
I
did you,
did.
Richard?
I took no meds this morning. All I did was take coffee. So you think about the fact that Denmark actually has a serious plan. So last week, Copenhagen raised its retirement age to 70 for Danes born in 1971 or later. So workers currently become eligible for the Danish equivalent of Social Security at age 67, which will go up steadily in the coming years. So this was a reform that was passed in 2006. When was our last Social Security reform? 1983. So it ties the retirement age to average life expectancy at age 60. The typical longevity of retirees in developed economies long ago surpassed the estimates that were put in place. So now what Denmark does is they go in and review their entitlements. They tweak them along the way. They don't wait for the last minute. Now we're going to talk about this because there's nothing politically easy about this. But we need to do something for those retirees who depend on Social Security as their pension. And we're going to continue this conversation when we return.
Investment Advice blog. It's required reading for the informed investor. Catch it today at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Declare your financial independence from the mainstream financial media and join us for the next RIA Candid Coffee with Danny Ratliff and Lance Roberts, Saturday, June 28th. Know the enemies of your wealth and fight them on your terms. We'll arm you with the information you need. Register today for the Financial Independence Edition of Candid Coffee, Saturday, June 28th with Ratliff and Roberts at realinvestmentadvice.com. realinvestmentadvice.com.
If you're working and looking to retire soon, a Medicare special enrollment period is in your future. Understanding Medicare choices, enrollment deadlines, and costs are essential to your overall standard of living in retirement. The wrong choices can cost you thousands in penalties. Make sense of Medicare's alphabet soup with RIA Advisors, online resources, and one-on-one partners to help secure the healthcare insurance choice that is right for your lifestyle and budget and avoid gaps in coverage. Click on the insurance tab at realinvestmentadvice.com today. realinvestmentadvice.com.
The Real Investment Show.
Are you a financial advisor sneaking peeks at our stuff? Instead of trying to do it all yourself, why not just join the team at RIA Advisors? Our full-service organization can provide you with the support, unparalleled research, and tools for managing your clients' money and honoring the fiduciary pledge of putting clients' best interest first. Don't take our word for it. Talk to the advisors that work with us. Want to come win with us? Go to our confidential advisor hub at realinvestmentadvice.com. RIA Advisors, big enough where it matters, agile enough when it counts.
Can't catch the whole show now? Listen to our podcast later at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Davey's always saying, I can't retire. You can't. Visual Capitalist put out a graph this morning. The title of the graph is, How Much Longer Do You Have to Live? It's a very sobering graph for 6 o'clock in the morning.
The Real Investment Show podcast.
You look at this graph and then you find your age. It says, I'm going to die roughly about 78. So I've got about 18 years left on my ticker. So I'm retiring soon.
At realinvestmentadvice.com.
The sand in my hourglass is running out.
And now, another page from the Real Investment Advisors Investing Manifesto. Bulls win in bull markets. Bears win in bear markets. Eagles soar above and take advantage of opportunity. Let us help you soar as you reach your financial goals with RIA Advisors. Neither bull nor bear. RIA Advisors, 281-501-1791 or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
The Real Investment Show.
Attention Chevron employees and anyone else receiving or considering a company severance package. We know the process can be intimidating. What should you know to maximize your payout? Lump sum or pension annuity, retirement plan rollover or not? What about tax timing your severance? The fiduciary advisors at RIA Advisors can help you make the best decisions for your situation. Call us today at 855-742-7526. That's 855-742-PLAN or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
The Real Investment Show YouTube channel has all our videos ready for your easy access. Now with the new and improved Before the Bell report. Subscribe and bookmark our YouTube channel at realinvestmentadvice.com.
You're listening to The Real Investment Show.
And welcome back. So this financial independence candid coffee is going to be great. So we want to make sure, especially in this age of heated narratives, you really keep a clear mind and understand rules and emotions and how do people build financial wealth and independence. Part of it is a feeling. I read a great article the other day about how there are people that have, say, for example, and we talk about this a lot, they have at least 2 years worth of living expenses in cash. And they say, to save and have that buffer is like an endorphin. Like, I feel like I could have an emergency that, yeah, I understand the market in the long term is wealthier and my cash can lose to inflation, but there is a snuggy feel to this where I know I have, if something goes wrong, I've got enough cash to get me through. It makes me more confident saver. It makes me feel like my stocks are for the long term and I don't have to worry about them so much. There's a lot that happens when you build up a cash well. And frankly, yields are not going down anytime soon. Maybe we look at where this employment report is, and the Fed decides that they're going to make a change, right? We have core PCE at 2.4%. What's the big deal? It's close to 2%, but they're probably not going to do a thing about it. Therefore, if I am a saver, I can look at 4% yields, which is better than it was in the past. And these yields, or these average yields, are not going away. So we always talk about, and people talk about this a lot, and it takes a lot to get over this, but I'm going to wait to do this when yields go down. I am going to wait to buy my house when interest rates come down. We may not see them come down. Because if we're thinking mortgage rates are going to 2%, and we're going to wait for that to occur, then we may never buy a home. I'm no realtor. I'm just saying, and I understand the cost of this, but we're benchmarking to aberrant rates, and we've got to get used to more normalized progression of rates. And that also means that if you're more of a saver than an investor, or you understand the difference, you can at least earn something on your savings. Yeah, for some people, 2 years worth of living expenses in cash, 1, is not realistic. 2, doesn't make sense for them. There's a number there. There's a number there in your financial coffer that's for emergencies that make you feel at ease and take a breath and think clear. It's going to be different for everybody. Again, we created something called the financial vulnerability cushion. We did it right before COVID, not even knowing COVID was coming. 6 months of living expenses that you put in just for, the air conditioner breaks down, anything that's normal that comes up. But what if I lose my job? What if there's an illness? That's why I am big, and we are big, on 1 year's worth of living expenses in cash. And you put that at the top of your financial hierarchy. And if I look at Marcus Bank, Ally Bank, any bank, I look at a 1 year CD, I'm 4% treasuries, I can get better yields than I have in the past, and I probably will for a long time. So just keep that in mind. So this financial independence, Saturday, June 28th at 8 a.m., is going to be your place, your forum to ask questions. And also, Danny and Lance are going to be sharing some of the things they've learned about creating financial independence. So, funniest thing, a lot of clients will ask, what kind of car you drive? I get hit with this question a lot. Across people that call in, I'm getting hit with this question a lot. It must have been put somewhere that, ask your advisor this question, right? And in a way, before I answer the question, I'm like, that's a very smart question. Because when I first started in this business, and you were a broker, which means you were mostly breaking things, everybody had to drive a BMW. Everybody needed a Rolex. Everybody needed to look the part. And I was in a Dodge Stratus. And everybody said, no, you got to get a new car. You got to get a Mercedes. You got to go out and get the big watch. You got to get the big house. You got to get yourself in debt so you're hungry enough to sell these crappy stocks. And I did not fall for that. So when clients ask me what kind of car you drive, it does say a lot about perhaps your choices. So I say, well, I drive a hybrid Toyota RAV4. And they go, well, I'm really sorry. You're in worse shape than I thought. No, I'm just kidding. No, but everybody here drives something reasonable. We're not out there in sports cars. In other words, if we don't follow financial discipline, how can we teach you anything about it? If we don't walk the talk ourselves, how can we possibly tell you what to do? And I think it's an important question. So financial independence, one of the best books out there for anybody, The Millionaire Next Door. One of the absolute best. Never judge anybody based on how they dress, right? What they drive, you do not know. And the ones that come across as very unintimidating, sort of are in the background, are probably the wealthiest people out there. And they're not fighting like Musk and Trump over X. Well, your mama's so big. When do you think they get to that point? Your mama is so fat, Trump, that, remember when we were kids, we would use that kind of stuff? Why can't they get more juvenile? At least it would be fun to read these tweets. Because now they're not fun.
They're juvenile enough.
They are juvenile enough, yeah. So stay tuned. Go sign up. It's only an hour, 8 a.m. Central. Streamed event on StreamYard. Register at realinvestmentadvice.com. So we were talking about Social Security in Denmark. So again, there's no politically easy answer, although there are easy tweaks that you can make to fix our Social Security system. And if you're in a physically demanding profession, it's understandable sometimes why you might take benefits early. But in Copenhagen, what they're looking at is they're looking at these similar debates, but these retirement ages are always in their thought process. Germany did something where they looked at, okay, if you work in a labor job, we'll lower your rate for your age for taking benefits, right? And France may look to raise its retirement age because of how people work over there. So remember that we're going to look at a 21% haircut by 2034 in Social Security. And nobody wants this, but nobody seems to be doing anything. So there's a lesson to be learned that Denmark looks at this retirement system very dynamically. And we don't look at it at all, because soon as we say something about tweaking it or doing something is, you're killing grandma and nobody's going to be able to eat because of what we're going to do to Social Security. There's a way to fortify it, and it doesn't take much. We just don't do it. We don't have the political will to do it. So Denmark is a good model because they're looking at fiscally responsible retirement ages. Especially now, I talked to a client yesterday and I said, listen, we follow a lot of AI, in healthcare space. How there are going to be certain markers or AI tools. You will know whether or not you have a cancer that no other test is going to pick up, right? There are MRIs, there are tools that are going to help you to live longer and have a more quality life, right? So why not, at least for a cohort, raise the full retirement age or raise the delayed retirement credit component from 70 to 71? There's ways to do this. So what I was surprised in this tax bill was, yes, no taxes on Social Security. I absolutely think that's a great idea because it hits more middle income Americans than anything else. But in there had to been some way to cover that. There was nothing in there to fortify the trust fund, whether it was increasing payroll tax, because no one wants to talk about that. And you don't have to do that. You don't have to do much to increase the payroll tax. I'm actually better with you keeping marginal rates where they are, marginal brackets, like they are in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, but just go ahead and raise the wage base limit for payroll tax. I'm okay. Listen, I used to be great about paying taxes. I thought it was my patriotic duty. Now I want to puke. But I know payroll tax, I know where the money goes. And we are an aging society and individuals who absolutely need that money. So if we're helping our seniors, I'm all for it. Okay? So raise that. But again, you would think these two parties could come together and understand how it affects everybody. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. This is an issue that is absolutely bipartisan, but we cannot get anything done. So Denmark could be a really good way to say, hey, if they could do it in the land of Hans Christian Andersen, we can do it. But we won't do it. And on that note, we'll be back.
Get daily investment news you can use, delivered at the speed of the internet at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Declare your financial independence from the mainstream financial media and join us for the next RIA Candid Coffee with Danny Ratliff and Lance Roberts, Saturday, June 28th. Know the enemies of your wealth and fight them on your terms. We'll arm you with the information you need. Register today for the Financial Independence Edition of Candid Coffee, Saturday, June 28th with Ratliff and Roberts at realinvestmentadvice.com. realinvestmentadvice.com.
RIA Advisors Research is the envy of the industry. Our economic insights are featured on advisorperspectives.com, Fox Business, and MarketWatch. RIA provides advisors with marketing and back office support, objective research, and holistic, cutting-edge financial planning tools to meet your clients' needs. Want to join a winning team and be part of a fiduciary culture where you can do your best work? Then why haven't you contacted us yet? Go to our confidential advisor hub at realinvestmentadvice.com. RIA Advisors. Big enough where it matters, agile enough when it counts.
The Real Investment Show.
Attention Chevron employees and anyone else receiving or considering a company severance package. We know the process can be intimidating. What should you know to maximize your payout? Lump sum or pension annuity, retirement plan rollover or not? What about tax timing your severance? The fiduciary advisors at RIA Advisors can help you make the best decisions for your situation. Call us today at 855-742-7526. That's 855-742-PLAN or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
And now, another page from the Real Investment Advisors Investing Manifesto. A passive investment portfolio requires active risk management. It's not a choice, it's necessity. Diversification doesn't protect against risk of loss. Let us actively help you reach your financial goals with RIA Advisors. Neither bull nor bear. RIA Advisors, 281-501-1791 or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
You're listening to The Real Investment Show.
So futures have taken a turn higher, actually. Dow futures 129, S&P 23.5, NASDAQ close to 100 right now. So keep in mind, everybody is waiting with bated breath for the employment report. So that's the May jobs report that's due. So Wednesday, the ADP report came out. Private payrolls were only 37,000. So only 37,000 private sector jobs were created in May. So that's the lowest in at least a couple of years. And we were expecting a gain of about 130,000 jobs. And then we had initial jobless claims also go to 247,000. So, but again, these two, obviously there's revisions and other things, but the market only cares about the headline number. So it always makes me wonder when futures are going up or down closer to a number, is if the number hasn't already been leaked. We just don't even know it yet. That's usually what I think happens. So we'll see. But there have been some big discrepancies between the ADP report and the payroll report, the jobs report. So we'll see where we stand there. That's going to be interesting to figure out. And again, it'll see if it gets the Fed to move. So Lance brought up something pretty interesting the other day because he says if the number comes in lower, the market's probably higher because the Fed might come in and lower rates. But I don't know if bad news is good news anymore because I think the market is sort of decoupling a little bit from, at least short term, from the Fed. And it's been more focused on the tax bill and tariffs. I think that's overwhelmed sort of the market's windshield view of things. So I don't know if bad news is actually good news because I think the market believes, and if you look at Polymarket, the Fed is not going to lower rates this year. So what is it going to take for the market to say, oh, this is bad news, but it's good news because we're still addicted to the Fed? See, I don't know the level of addiction anymore the market has for the Fed because the Fed's been has been playing hard to get and not providing the juice. And, sooner or later, the market walks away, at least temporarily. Never longer term, but temporarily. So I don't know. He said that, but I had to think about it and say I'm not really sure. So on a bit of good news, as we close to get to the end of the show, this is a study that came out of Fidelity Investments that workers are putting away a record share of their income for retirement. So the average savings rate in 401k plans rose to 14.3% of income in the first 3 months of this year. That was a Fidelity investment analysis of millions of accounts it manages. Obviously, Fidelity is a behemoth when it comes to managing 401k assets. So that's below the 15% annual savings rate that, as advisors, although I recommend higher, over, say, 4 decades. But listen, 15% is healthy, 14% is pretty good. So average 401k savings rates have risen from 13.5% in 2020, according to Fidelity. So they are the 401k administrator for roughly 25,000 companies. In the first quarter, 17.4% of people with 401k accounts at Fidelity increased their savings rate, while 5% decreased, and less than 1% stopped saving altogether, right? Here's how Fidelity looks at the numbers. Baby boomers saved 17.2% on average. Gen X, millennials put away 15.4% and 13.5% respectively. So I think probably what's helped that is automatic enrollment. 5% of pay or higher is usually where auto enrollment has been on average. That's higher than the historical 3% norm. That's also according to Fidelity. And then you have also plans that are going to automatically escalate savings rates, typically by 1 percentage point annually, until it reaches about 10% of pay. I like this. I like this feature. It's like the frog in the water that hasn't boiled yet. Because what we tell everyone is pay yourself first. So, Parker, that's a lesson you'll always learn. And you always pay yourself first, and that's a lesson that is timeless. But you can start small and notice that it doesn't really hurt, and then slowly increase that savings rate. Well, some of these auto enrollment plans are doing that for you, and you're not feeling it. So, again, little bit of bright spot. We always talk about the retirement crisis, how people are not prepared, and that's relatively true. And Social Security has become the pension because we don't have defined benefits plans anymore, at least for the most part, we don't. However, to see that people are saving more. So, Parker, your generation, and again, this is not Fidelity, your generation is actually saving more than prior generations, say, compared to, say, even baby boomers. In other words, your generation seems to be pretty good at being fiscally responsible. You always hear about the bad eggs, the people that, when you see stuff on social media and you see TikTok videos, you have this representative bias. You have this heuristic bias when you see all this goofy stuff and, every 20-something, they're all like that. They don't want to work. They're lazy. Oh, I sound like Lance. Get off my lawn. But that is not the case with many. It's the loudest few that are making dumbasses of themselves on TikTok and all that other stuff and screaming into shout-it pillows and all that stuff. That's not the majority. I absolutely do not believe that. When I meet with people like you, my daughter, her friends, I don't see this, oh my gosh, this generation is going to heck. And I bet every generation. Brent, did your dad say that about your generation? Oh my God, listen to that music they're listening to. We all go through this. But we didn't have social media. We just looked at that jerk on the block and go, don't be like Murray. Don't be like Murray over there, right? But now social media, you see something, sort of hedonistic or bombastic, and it's a 20-something, like, it's going to say on their gravestone, digital creator, and Lance is going to go over and knock that stone over too.
Or influencer.
Yeah, influencer. What is that? Do you know what that is, Brent?
I do.
You do. I don't. I
And
have
it's not necessarily for good.
It's not. So I understand that, this is the way of things, and I think the world would be better off without social media. That's my own opinion. But you've got to realize that not everybody is like that. So you look at savings rates. You look at how some Gen Zs have not been brought up to get everything they've wanted. And they don't want everything now, and they do work hard. And I like to think that the majority are like that. So studies will show us over the next few years where you are. But what I've seen in trends with 20-somethings is they do embrace pay yourself first. And they're actually some of them, even though you see all the traders on TikTok and all that, are very risk averse. They like products that are insurance. They like the idea of pensions. They don't like to buy a lot of stuff, right? They're into more experiences. They don't need the big house. They don't really want it. They look at it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with any of thinking that way, overall. So when we got to remember when we say get off my lawn, is like, no, some people you're allowed on my lawn. You're never allowed on Lance's lawn. I don't care who you are. But Brent might say, you're a good kid. Go ahead. You can walk across the lawn very, very carefully. But I may allow you to do that. Don't you think that's right?
Yeah.
For every generation, there's always a bad seed that's the loudest.
Well, you're on my lawn. Please weed it.
Please weed it. Please put down a little weed and feed while you're at it.
Here's a bag of Scots.
A Scott, no?
He
You
does.
have his bag?
Yes.
Okay.
He and I are like this.
You and Scott are very
Yes.
close. Remember Randy Lemon, God rest his soul, whenever you brought up like weed and feed, he would lose his
I know.
He would lose his mind.
I know.
I could still hear him yelling at me. Don't use that. So I don't anymore.
I tried to use the good stuff.
You try to use the good stuff.
For 2 years in a row.
You use the good stuff?
Ruined my yard.
The good stuff.
The good stuff.
You're like one of those, your lawn's like one of those people, like once they stop eating junk food and they go to healthy stuff, they get sicker.
Yeah, it did. So
yeah,
back to Scott's Weed and Feed
back
this
to
year.
Scott's
Yeah.
Weed and Feed. Then you could throw out a few McDonald's French fries on the lawn and
Sorry, Randy.
they disappear. Sorry, Randy. Rest in peace.
Randy was a good guy.
Randy knew his stuff.
Yeah.
All my lawn care is based on Randy Lemon and his books. Mm-hmm. And my lawn is green, it's lush. So you have a lot to look forward to. We look outside and go, look at my lawn today. I don't know if life gets better or worse. Can't figure it out. So when you want to think about teaching your kids and your Gen Zs when they're going to getting their first job, paying yourself first is one of those rules that never loses its allure. It's always in favor. There are a lot of financial rules, let me tell you, that we talk about that are absolutely outdated and they still get touted today that are bunk. But the pay yourself first is timeless. Well, that's all we got for today. Take a look at Real Investment Advice, Lance's latest report. Sign up for our newsletter. And again, please, sign up for Financial Independence webinar, Candid Coffee, Saturday, June 28th, 8 a.m. Central. Sign up at realinvestmentadvice.com. Lance back on Monday. You all have a great, great weekend. Take care, everyone.